Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special meeting of the Brighton Area Schools Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Ackermite, roll call, please.
Here.
Mrs. Mark?
Here.
Mr. Storm?
Present.
Mr. Meyer?
Here. All right, that moves us to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs, supported by Mr. Storm. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 6-0. All right, that brings us to the call to the public. This is the opportunity for anyone here who would like to address the board, the opportunity to do so. I will call your name based upon cards. We ask that you fill out if you would like to address the board and place them in the box to the left of Mr. Jones. When I call your name, it'll be your opportunity to go to the podium. You will have 3 minutes. Dr. Krebs will be keeping track of the time. When there's 30 seconds left in your allotted 3 minutes, she will display the yellow card to give you a 30-second warning. And then we ask that you wrap up within the 3-minute allotted time frame. So, thank you, sir. Without any further ado, Nate Nicholson.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, every board member, for all the work you do. Keep it very brief. I encourage you to consider this bond as a great opportunity for our students. I'm definitely, as a parent of 2 students in the instrumental music program, I know that now is the time to reinvest in our performing arts and our visual arts programs and support raising them back to the shining standard that they will be, have been, will be. Such great students, such great staff supporting them. We've been blessed as a district to invest in facilities and resources for STEM and athletics and in general areas of the district as a whole. We have a great opportunity now to invest in space for our elementaries, promote growth of the student body, support all of those new students and our current students, especially in the area of performing arts. So I strongly support it. I hope you do consider doing the same. Thank you.
Thank you. John Condon.
Good evening, board. A couple things. I had a little student exit view for our school, and she had the pluses and the minuses. This was today at the counter. She thought the sports programs were great, the principals were awesome. She liked the flexibility and the independence that she learned at Brighton High School. That was the positive. The negative was counseling. She thought there were lots of opportunities that she didn't feel like she knew anything about or was informed on. So that's the negative, but way more positive than negative. So you got a little bit of both. The other reason I'm here tonight is on this bond. I believe that haven't laid out the plan well enough for this bond to go forward. I think it's a good idea. I think that our school certainly could use some new things, but we also have enough money in the general fund to do most of them without a big deal. If you do need to raise the taxes, I believe that scope needs to be very defined. And that's my gut feeling on that. Part of that would be, I got this little flyer. It says, lose your spouse, lose your house. I think you guys have heard of this. And it's a group that's getting some information out there. And, you know, the bottom line is people have to pay these taxes, and the taxes have to be justified. And it is the board's responsibility to do that. So appreciate your serious consideration. And if you do go forward at some point, have a real scope on it, you know, and pinpoint it with a direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Lindsay Wing.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Wing. I'm a parent in the district. I have students at Spencer and a rising 5th grader at Maltby. And I'm here tonight to support the BAS teachers and their teaching community. I heard about the opportunity to share tonight and reached out to neighbors and some friends and got an immediate response, some of whom are here tonight. And I just want to point out that word community. That's really the theme here of my statement. The BAS schools are the only school community my girls have known. And I'm so impressed by the teachers and their commitment to building community, both inside their classrooms and outside their classrooms in other areas of the school. I think especially where that shines is for after-school events. That's book bingo, hosting clubs, and a favorite at Spencer is the dunk tank that the teachers sit in during the end of the school year carnival. I don't know if any of you have ever sat in a dunk tank. It is scary when that thing falls out from under you. So I just want to point that out. The teachers here go above and beyond to build that community with their students and the families, and that is so very priceless. I also would like to share a statement from a neighbor, Kendra Cupp. I have a 4th grader and a kindergartner at Spencer. I could go on about how amazing our experiences with Spencer teachers like Mrs. Rowe and Mrs. Cowgill have been. Every one of my daughter's teachers has made a huge impact in her life, but the one that sticks out the most is her kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Andrews. When Eden was 5, her daughter, she was wrestling with her brother and hit her head open on a coffee table and split her forehead open. I remembered something that Mrs. Andrews taught her, which was about, when she was upset, to take a deep breath, fill her balloon up with air, and we repeated that a few times until Eden was able to totally calm down in a matter of minutes. I don't think Mrs. Andrews knows how special she is to us, but I'm forever grateful for her for making my little girl feel safe in a big, scary new school. Mrs. Andrews, you are the GOAT. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Lewis.
Good evening. I'm also here to show my support for BAS teachers. So my name is Michelle Lewis. My family relocated here to Brighton in 2020 specifically for the schools. At that time, we had no idea just how deeply we would be impacted, not only by the quality of education, but by the incredible relationships that we've developed with the teaching staff. We have 2 children, one entering 5th grade and the other entering 2nd grade. I can honestly say that not a day goes by that I'm not overcome with emotion thinking about how grateful I am that they are growing up in this district. The teachers here go above and beyond in ways that are both seen and unseen, whether it's welcoming students at drop-off with music and dancing, participating for hours after the school day is over at family events, or simply offering consistent, heartfelt communication that keeps families engaged and connected. Because of this, I proudly nominated one of our teachers for the Michigan Department of Education's Teacher of the Year Award this year. That decision came easily because I've experienced firsthand the excellence, compassion, and dedication that defines our educators. Each day my children come home feeling safe, cared for, confident, and excited to learn. That is the result of teachers who give their all, not just in the classroom, but in their hearts and the lives of their students. I'm asking you to continue to support and advocate for them in every way you can because they are truly the heartbeat of this community. I also have a second statement to read from Colleen Gafsky, who's our PTO president at Spencer. She said, "The teachers at Spencer Elementary are truly the heart of the school. Their dedication, compassion, and tireless effort create a warm and inspiring environment where every child feels seen, supported, and encouraged to grow. It's clear how much they care not just about academics, but about building confidence, kindness, and a lifelong love of learning. We're so lucky to have each of them and have such an incredible team shaping our children's early years. Thank you for all that you do and continue to support our teachers."
Thank you. Emily De La Cruz.
Good evening. I'm Emily De La Cruz. I have 2 kids. I have one at Maltby and one at Spencer. And I'm of the age where I have to take my glasses off to read. As both a parent in the Brighton district and a fellow educator elsewhere, I want to speak from both heart and experience about what our teachers bring to this community. Brighton teachers are doing far more than preparing kids for high test scores, though those scores are among the best in the state. They're shaping the full experience our students have every day. They build real connections with kids. They model empathy. They spend their own time learning how to teach better and then stay late to support clubs, performances, and school events. They create community, not just in the classrooms, but across our buildings and throughout Brighton. When either of my children has faced challenges, academic, social, or personal, there has always been a teacher there showing up, listening, and supporting them with patience, care, and professionalism. I know I'm not alone in this experience. That kind of support doesn't show up on test scores, but it's what makes the difference in a child's life. We are fortunate to have educators in this district who are recognized at the state and national levels for their excellence. Mrs. Bridget Jastrzebski just recently won Elementary ELA Teacher of the Year. Teachers like her who not only lead in their own classrooms, but who help raise the standard across the profession. And even without consistent direction or a clear plan from the district, Brighton teachers go out of their way to reflect the diversity of our student body. They create spaces where students of all racial, ethnic, cultural, and linguistic backgrounds are seen, supported, and prepared to thrive, not just here in the bubble of Livingston County, but in the diverse communities they'll enter after graduation. But no matter how dedicated they are, teachers can't continue to do more with less. Excellence isn't sustainable without investment. That means smaller class sizes, because building relationships and responsive instruction takes time. It means fair working conditions, and at the very least, it means cost of living raise that reflects the growing demands and the essential value of their work. And frankly, when we look at how much is funneled into athletics, facilities, travels, equipment, it's clear that when priorities are aligned, the resources are there. Surely we can invest at the same level in the people who make every part of our schools work. Brighton's success isn't accidental. It's built on the everyday commitment of its teachers. If we want to support our kids, the surest way is by supporting the people who show up for them every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Mandy Oswald?
Hi, good evening. I'm also here to represent the Brighton area schools, specifically Spencer, who I have the most experience with. I have 3 children there right now. I have one will be in 1st grade, one will be in 4th grade, and actually one is starting Maltby, just finished up 4th grade at Spencer. I'm currently our PTO vice president, and I absolutely love being involved with Spencer. It's a dream come true, honestly. I work with an amazing group of other parents, but it also helps working with an amazing group of teachers and educators. I just put together a couple words and I'll just read through. I really do want to recognize this team of educators. They truly embody like what it means to go above and beyond. This group doesn't just teach, they lead, they lift, and they love. They support students. Just as importantly, they support each other. It's an amazing group of teachers who have synergy like I've never seen before. So with that said, what I'd like to say is that what's so special about them is the way that they do work together. There's a real sense of unity, a kind of synergy that is hard to describe, but you can just feel when you go into the school. And the staff, it just clicks. Their ideas, they celebrate each other's wins, they step in without hesitation when someone needs a hand. It really is a beautiful balance among a team, a strong foundation of experience blended with the fresh energy of newer teachers and more tenured staff. Above all, what stands out most is how genuine the team is, and there's no ego, there's no pretense, it's just heart, and it's genuine, and I see that every day in my kids when they go to school. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you. Jennifer Evans?
Hello, my name is Jennifer Evans. I live in Howell, Michigan. I am the Scranton Middle School Band and Orchestra Director, a proud member of our Brighton Teacher Union, a parent to 2 Brighton grads, and I had to change this from my notes because now that the school year is over, I am now a 21-year employee of Brighton Area Schools. It was 20 a couple months ago. I am speaking to you this evening, Board, to urge you to include specific and substantial funding for Scranton Middle School Band and Orchestra programs, both in terms of financial support and dedicated facility creation and upgrades as part of the proposed bond. Unfortunately, our current Scranton Middle School band and orchestra programs are operating in undersized, outdated, understaffed, or makeshift spaces, often without adequate soundproofing, ventilation, secure and controlled, climate-controlled instrument storage, or acoustically appropriate rehearsal areas. I could print off hundreds of sheets of data from my watch as to when the sound decibels in the room exceed acceptable levels for children, let alone myself as an adult. The conditions currently limit the instructional quality and ultimately diminish students' musical and personal development. In contrast, an investment in purpose-built or renovated music facilities designed with proper rehearsal acoustics, ensemble space, sound isolation, and climate-controlled secure instrument storage demonstrates your deep commitment to student learning and equity. Here is what inclusion in the school bond can accomplish. Construction and/or renovation of dedicated music rooms with appropriate acoustics and size for full ensemble rehearsals. Climate-controlled and adequate instrument storage designed for safety, accessibility, and longevity of district-owned equipment. Sustainable funding for repairs, instructional materials, staff, and facilities maintenance over time. Investment in musical instruments, qualified staff, and access to quality equipment are not luxuries, they are necessities. Including Scranton Middle School instrumental music infrastructure and funding in the proposed bond is an investment not only in our staff, our buildings, and our equipment, but in the minds, hearts, and futures of our students. I strongly urge you to ensure that Scranton Middle School instrumental music, band and orchestra, is not only preserved, but supported and expanded through this bond measure. Our students deserve it, our community benefits from it, and our future is richer because of it. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your commitment to every student's success.
Thank you. Sid Atkin.
Hello, good evening. First, want to say how grateful I am for the turnout we've seen from the public this evening. I know it's summer, vacations, busy schedules make it hard to focus on school this time of year, but this turnout shows how deeply our community cares. We also recognize the board has a full agenda tonight, and we're not here to slow things down. We're simply here to show that we have real support behind efforts to strengthen the future of our musically focused kids. So I ask, what do voters vote for? They vote for something they can see, something that can enhance the community, and something they can be proud of. Much of what is being considered for this bond rightly focuses on essential infrastructure repairs. I'll be the first in line to support that. We absolutely need to ensure that our buildings are safe, comfortable, and functional, from heating and cooling systems to space limitations to potholes in the parking lot. My kids have gone through Tot Spot, Hilton, Maltby, Scranton, and now BHS. I've seen firsthand just how critical these upgrades are to keeping students focused on learning. But a bond proposal must do more than maintain, it must inspire. Previous successful bonds gave us a football stadium and the STEAM Center. Both improved the student experience and gave the community something tangible and lasting to rally behind. Today, I'm again asking you to consider making the performance arts the next major investment of Brighton area schools. Roughly 30 years ago, the BCPA was built. It helped establish Brighton as a leader in arts across Livingston County. Just look at the continued success of Brighton Musical. Every year, community shows up in support, and we've even welcomed local, state, and national leaders who know they're in for something special. But the BCPA is showing its age, and the classrooms that support the music and theater programs are no longer meeting the needs of today's students and educators. We have a vision. A new performance arts wing directly connected to the BCPA, featuring dedicated, acoustically appropriate classrooms for band, choir, and orchestra. Spaces designed with safe instrument storage and room for collaboration and growth. Also include a black box theater, a flexible second stage venue for theater, choir, band, orchestra, elementary and middle school performances. This space would expand learning opportunities, relieve the pressure on the overbooked BCPA calendar, and give our district a powerful new space for student expression and community connection. Let's give the public something they can vote for, something they'll see, use, celebrate for decades to come. My family has lived in Brighton for 21 years. Brighton Area Schools is one of the biggest reasons we chose this community, even before we had kids of our own. Our community is only as strong as our schools. Let's build a stronger Brighton together. Thank you.
Sean Carney. And that is the last card that I have, so if anyone would like to address the board and have not placed the card.
Good evening. I'm Sean Kearney. I'm a proud Brighton grad, staff member, BA member, and parent of a future Bulldog class of 2027, which is hard for me to believe. I had an industry member in my classroom today. We were discussing the talent shortage in the print industry. He was very impressed with the facility, and his only comment was, you know, technology always changes. How are you going to keep up? You know, and so I think being on the cutting edge is great. That takes investment. That takes continual, constant investment. We need to stay on that cutting edge. So yay, I hope we vote for a bond. My personal highlight of the summer, I got a phone call. I was in the car with my wife, got a phone call from one of my former students who had a 2-hour phone privilege because he had just passed basic training as a Marine. 2 hours, just had his phone for literally 2 hours. Why he wanted to call me, we must have had a great connection. And it total highlight of the summer. It matters what we do in our classrooms. It matters the relationships we have. And, you know, that's all very important stuff. So I hope that our beginning teachers can have the time to invest in those relationships because they can afford to do the job.
Thank you. Christina Kepkakis.
So this year, I'm Christina, you know that. I speak all the time. Next year, I will have a senior, a junior, an 8th grader, and a 5th grader. I'm here tonight to express my appreciation not only for our BAS teachers, but also for our BAS Music and Performing Arts program. And while I'll be mentioning a specific individual tonight by name, we've had so many teachers who have been so monumental that I could probably speak at every board meeting this school year. When my son was given an assignment to select a teacher who was influential to him, he chose Mr. Phil Johnson. PJ leads by example in and out of the classroom and has taught my son so much. In addition to music, I'd like to share part of what he wrote in his letter. I've just finished reading Mitch Albom's Tuesdays with Moria in Honors English, and Moria has taught me that the best way to live a fulfilling life is to surround yourself with the people you love. That giving kindness back will help you understand the meaning of life and your role in it. For that reason, I chose to write this letter to you to honor you as a living tribute, since your guidance is helping me become the person I want to be, both musically and in my character. My love for choir and music only continues to grow, and your wonderful advice and example serve as one of my greatest inspirations. I wouldn't be where I am today without the help of DJ PJ. Teachers who inspire in the BAS music program go hand in hand. 3 of my 4 children just attended sessions at Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, 2 for their 5th consecutive summer and 1 for the 2nd time. In at least 2 previous bonds, the district addressed athletic facilities and the STEAM Center, which is still missing the A, by the way. When calculating the bond amount, please consider our performing arts facilities and music students, and a reminder of what musical booster parents would like to see. BCPA upgrades, seating, orchestra pit, virtual band shell, And I would like to see better accessible seating for people during shows, as my mom has trouble with her mobility. New high school classrooms for band, orchestra, and choir with shared breakout rooms, safe instrument storage, room to grow, and soundproofing. An orchestra room at Scranton Middle School that is safe and has proper instrument storage. Last I calculated, we were over $4,000 in repairs with Sharp Music, and that was the last time I calculated 3 months ago. New black box theater, approximately 300 seats. This flexible space would relieve pressure from the overbooked BCPA and would also help parents who struggle to find coordination between BCPA events and elementary and younger child events with performances and the such. That's all I have to say tonight. I want to thank you all for being here on a special meeting, and please consider our music. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that closes the call to the public portion of our agenda and moves us into the work session discussion, which is the subject of this special meeting. We are here tonight. This has been the culmination of many meetings that we have had in the past, as I'm sure most, if not all of you are aware. We began having preliminary conversations about the prospect of going forward with the bond, the scope of the bond, the timing of potential sales of bonds, and it has been a very fluid and evolving process over the past several months. We most recently, within the last few months, as the board engaged on behalf of the district, our architectural firm, King Scott, and our construction management firm, Clark Construction Company. They have, I just want to first of all say, they've really put in a tremendous amount of time and effort in the past couple of months. It's been a Herculean effort to dive into where we were in the process at that point in time. Obviously, this is a big district. While we've invested a lot of money over the past 10, 15 years in our facilities and programming, there's always more that can be done. There's always more wish lists that can be looked at. And quite frankly, the things that we were looking at in concept were just that. Were conceptual. There were, as we have since learned, there's obviously opportunities to look at alternatives to accomplish the same outcome, whether it's different designs, larger or smaller scope. And that's really where our professionals, the folks from King Scott and Clark Construction, have really been helpful in educating us, getting us the information that we were looking for as a board in order to enable us to make a decision. Obviously, anyone and all of you who've been following us, there has been a consensus among all the board members that we do want to move forward with a bond. We recognize the value in identifying projects that can move the needle forward and keep our district at the forefront of a desirable district and address, the facility needs that we want to offer our students and our community. So we've made that clear, but obviously the devil is in the details, and a lot of what we needed to understand as a board was what exactly are we going to potentially identify as projects that we as a board can support, what that cost structure would look like, and then align that with the amount of bonds and the potential series of bonds that we would have to approve to put to the voters either in November or in a future election. So tonight we're here, it's kind of the culmination of where we are in that process, and if we are going to make a decision as a board to move forward with putting the bond on the ballot in November, we are at the precipice of having to make that decision. We have to submit and have the application and the final details approved before next week. If we are going to move forward in November, Obviously, if we are not going to move forward in November, but still want to continue forward with the process, that's certainly something we can do, and we won't be under the same time constraints. So tonight, there's really two fundamental questions that have to be answered by the board. The first question is, are we going to proceed forward to put the bond on the November ballot? If the answer to that question, if we as a board are ready to do that, then the next question that we have to determine is what is it that we're going to decide to put on the ballot in terms of the scope of the projects, and what are we going to approve from a series of bond sales that's going to be the mechanism to finance the projects that we would approve. On the other hand, if we as a board are not in a position where we feel comfortable moving forward right now to place the bond on the ballot in November, then we'll put the brakes on the process, at least temporarily. We will obviously have to decide if we're going to move forward at some point in time in the future and continue that process. It seems like, as we've discussed as a board, we're all in support of moving forward with a bond. So we'd have to have some further conversations as to what that would look like. So that's where we are. And so with I guess, the first question is, are we, and individually, obviously, I'm going to be looking for feedback from everyone. Do you feel that you are sufficiently prepared to move forward with putting the bond on the November ballot? So who would like to go first?
I'll go first. So I would like to echo Roger's sentiments. Thank you, King, Scott, and Clark, for all the work you guys have done so far. It's been amazing. I don't believe that we are ready to approve the details of the bond for a November, to put it on the ballot in November. I think that there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered because of the work that's been done. The lens that we have on it right now has opened up for a lot more opportunity, I think, that we really need to have a thoughtful and intentional look on before we move forward as it is right now.
I agree. I've struggled with this a lot. I think we have a unique time frame and a unique possibility to lower the taxes on the Brighton taxpayers and invest in our schools at the same time, and we will never yet get this moment back. But when looking at the scope of the projects, we need some more time to be thoughtful. We need more time to strategically plan what we're going to do with these. It pains me a lot because there's a lot of folks that are really invested in getting this bond passed, that delaying it may impact their kids even being able to partake in some of these. And like I said, it's a big struggle for me. I don't know if we delay this, a handful of months, it's probably not a big deal. A year, if taxpayers are used to that lower tax rate, I don't know what that does to this particular bond, even with my vote, but I don't think we're quite ready today, so.
Dr. Krebs?
I'd like to echo what I've heard Ms. Tierney and Mr. Bain say. I feel like we're not quite ready for it. We had the meetings with Clark and King Scott last week, and it was really helpful. We appreciate your time that you gave us. But I think we want to be really careful and really intentional what we're doing. And to rush it, I think is not fair to the community, to the taxpayers. We need to know what we want. We need to make it clear to the community what we're looking for. And I think the only way we can do this is to postpone it until maybe May or later. But I don't feel like to put this together, we have a week to put this together, and that would be a fair and intentional work. So I suggest we're going to wait on it.
I'm in agreement with everyone's comments up to this point. Thank you also to administration. I know you put a lot of time and answered lots of our questions with lots of data. So personally, thank you. I appreciate it. And to King, Scott, and Clark as well. And to everyone that's been coming to the board meetings and advocating for your positions. I think we all appreciate hearing from that, and I hope that we can continue that momentum with the groups that have come forward, and hopefully by delaying, we can have some additional community engagement and find out a little bit of a wider view from some of the projects that we've seen or possible other opportunities that we have not yet considered. So in order to make the best informed decision and the most responsible financial decision, I think we should postpone. I think looking at this timeline, personally, I know we're not deciding it tonight, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't be ready for May. We have a nice framework for what we saw from the beginning when we had our professionals come in and talk to us, and so it seems like we've already made a lot of progress in that direction, and I think we can just keep rolling along, and that's what I would advocate for.
So I won't add, I think it's, well said, but with all the comments that have been shared thus far, maybe just one related comment around the taxpayers of Brighton. I've mentioned before in some of our prior meetings that I personally am in favor of giving voters the opportunity to vote either in favor of or against the bond. I also moved to Brighton because of the school district and the quality of our teachers, the quality of our facilities, the quality of our athletic programs. I have students in a variety of different programs, including the arts here in Brighton. And I shared before with some of the band parents that I personally was in band as a young student when I was in middle school and high school, and I grew up in a musical home. So really appreciate the time they've all taken to come and participate in not just tonight's meetings, but prior meetings. I do feel that this community, if we do our job and present a framework that captures the wants and the needs and the critical infrastructure improvements that we collectively feel are needed, we'll support a bond that is presented. I think that there's been a lot of history that shows when there's purpose and there's clarity, the community will rally behind the school and the school district and really help provide the funding that's necessary to keep us at the front cutting edge of what we ultimately are striving for as a board and as a district and as a community. So with that, I'm in agreement with what has been communicated and support delaying, pushing out our timeline.
So I would agree with what has been discussed this evening. I want to, in addition to provide some additional context, I was on the board when we had our last bond in 2018. That process that we followed back in 2018 was about a year-long process. I mean, we did a lot of analysis. We engaged in, there was a lot of community engagement regarding feedback for the type of projects that we were going to include on that bond. And so, putting it in that context, I mean, I certainly was hopeful. I'm very excited about a lot of these projects that are on the wish list or what we've talked about. I really do believe that these projects will make a huge difference. I mean, and obviously there's the infrastructure needs that just come with owning facilities and maintaining facilities and making sure that, the facilities are appropriate for our students and our community. But there's obviously some projects on here that can really make a difference in terms of the programming, obviously the arts that's been talked about extensively, and I appreciate all of the input that we've received from everybody. Obviously from a longer-term planning perspective in terms of expansion of buildings, reconfiguration of buildings, potential relocation of drives for safety purposes and efficiency for our families. I mean, these are all really very important projects, and we can't approach any of these haphazardly because it won't make for good planning, and quite frankly, I think it will really handicap the ability or the opportunity and prospect for it to be successful if we were to rush and put it on the ballot in November. So I think it is a good idea for us to slow walk this a little bit. Sometimes it's better to be the tortoise than it is to be the hare, and I think that's appropriate in this situation. Because of the condensed time frame that we were talking about, in potentially putting it on the November ballot. We weren't going to be able to solicit, community feedback to really have the opportunity to make presentations of, looking at different projects, what are the alternatives, and maybe having large boards, the community members can come look at it. I mean, that's a tool that's used with the townships and cities with their master plans for their development, and it's a very important tool for the community to then feel like they've got an input and have had an impact on what is going to be put on the ballot. And ultimately, that's going to be what's going to be important to give the bond, whenever we do put it on the ballot, the greatest opportunity for success. Some things have been mentioned this evening about the timing. I do believe that we would be ready to go forward in May. I think that certainly gives us ample time to secure the community feedback, do the further due diligence that we need to do, get the feedback from our professionals as to their advice, and ultimately be able to make the most well-informed decision that we can make to be the greatest stewards of our tax dollars and to ultimately support what will be the best alternatives for our students, our staff, our community. And that's obviously what we all strive for up here, and I think that this is the prudent decision to make. And I also want to thank the administration. Wasn't meant to be a slight in thanking King Scott and Clark. The administration, as you guys, I know you've worked very hard in pulling this information together. So, in light of the sentiment, there's no need for action to be taken. We don't need to vote to not go forward with it. We're obviously just going to hit the pause button for now, and we will obviously continue this process. We obviously have every intention of moving forward, with King Scott and Clark and having them be our partner in moving this forward with the ultimate goal of putting this on the ballot at some point in 2026. Anybody else have any further comment, questions? No? Okay. We're all set. Yeah, so that concludes the item, obviously, that we had on the agenda for this evening. Our next regular meeting is next Monday night, August 11th at 7 p.m., and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for being here.